Hello and welcome to Whisky Resource. My name is Mark. This is review 146 and this is the fourth dram from my 18-year-old whiskey showdown. So before I get into it, just a couple of things. I've had a couple of messages from people asking, do I have a Patreon? No, don't do Patreon. If that's something that you want to donate money, I don't see why you should, but if you did, I've set up a Just Giving page to donate money to a charity for children with disabilities such as cerebral palsy, and the money goes towards this charity that provides therapy sessions, hydrotherapy, that kind of thing for disabled children. So it's called Highland Single Malt. I'll put a link down in the description. If you want to donate, you can always use that link. I've also updated my link tree with that particular link as well, which I'll put that link down as well if I remember, because I never do. I've updated the website. I've made a change as to how the write-up review page looks. I've tried to make it look a bit more modern, a bit more detail going in there. So by all means take a look. Feedback's always welcome. Existing review pages will look the same until such time as I get round to adapting them. It is a slow process, unfortunately. Finally, the homepage for the website is going to have an update every year. I'm going to retain how the homepage looks, and it's going to become a link. So the 2022 page will list every whiskey that I've reviewed. The most recent review will always be at the top of the page, and as you scroll down it takes to the older reviews through the year, and then I'll have a new menu somewhere which will link to previous years. So this is the first year, so obviously there won't be any link, but 2023 I'll put a link on back to 2022, so you can kind of cast an eye down all the reviews, as it were, that way. But you can always still search for them, as you can search for any whiskey that's on the site, and I'm endeavouring to put more on. So bit of that waffle out of the way, let's just get on to doing this blind tasting. So where's my hat? Right. Oh, sorry, yeah, 2 glasses. What I want to do is I want to pour a dram to drink, a dram that I'm going to add water in straight away, and while I rub it on, that's going to be doing what it needs to do, so that it's kind of a bit of time, but not the full time it needs for an 18-year-old whiskey. Enough waffling for me, let's just crack on with it, and we'll see what today brings. So, the previous days, we'll come to in a minute, because I just want to pour these, and I don't want any kind of distractions, because as I'm about to explain, if you haven't already seen previous videos, had to disguise what it is: water. Now it may be that this doesn't need water, but it is an 18-year-old whiskey and it can't do any harm. So I've put in maybe 5 drops there, put the lid on, we're ready to go. So as I mentioned, the league table previous days, so hasn't gone well. Day 1 I had a cold, I had to do a follow-up update on tasting notes, and that turned out to be the Kalila, which I wasn't that impressed with. Still a great tasting whiskey, but I wasn't as impressed as I should have thought I would have been for an 18-year-old Kalila. Anyway, that was day 1. Day 2 was the Glenfiddich 18, which I actually thought was okay, better than the Kalila, and that I had a mare because the labels had disappeared, the text on the labels had disappeared, so I had to work out which whiskey it was, so that was a mare. Day 3 worked out to be the Glen Scotia 18, which I was very disappointed with, being a Glen Scotia. I expected more from it, and that sits in 3rd place in the league table, as you can see by this little graphic here. That's the league table. So what's day 4 going to bring? Don't know. I'm not getting any peat smoke off what I've just poured there. There's nothing coming from the glass to say that it's a peated whiskey. So how's this one going to be? Let's get into it. Nosing and tasting. So this one is fruity with a sherry influence. It's got probably more berry notes, a bit of cranberry, a bit of raspberry maybe. But there is some sherried fruit going on there. It's malty. There's some spice, some lovely aromatic spices coming off that. On the nose, I'm suggesting maybe it's a 46% ABV. Yeah, that's a pleasant nose. Possibly the best nose I've had yet on the palate. So, on the texture, it's syrupy, it's creamy, it's fruity, malty, and has that oak, bit of oak drying finish. But the oak is not too overwhelming. It is quite drying on the end of the finish there. Quite a long, medium length to long finish. The alcohol actually is coming across stronger than 46. I don't think it's an awful lot more, but I think it probably is a touch stronger than 46%, this one, on the ABV. I'm getting some hints of a bourbon maturation. I'm also getting those sherry notes, suggesting that this is a long-term ex-bourbon maturation with probably an extra, maybe year worth of sherry finishing. I'm getting that rye again, which I'm starting to think is probably more long cask maturation that you're getting on an 18-year-old. It's given a bit of spiciness to it, which you would get from the wood, but it could also be elements of the ex-bourbon maybe getting drawn out of the cask. I don't know. But it's a theme that's run through most of these 18-year-olds, and it could just be that it is just the age. Initial guess as to what this could be. It doesn't taste like a blended Scotch. I don't even think it's like a blended malt. I think this is just a regular, well, I say regular, this is a single malt. It's got savoury elements to it. It's not as sweet as the Glenfiddich was. Whilst that wasn't massively sweet, I think it was sweeter than this one. There is elements of sweetness in there though. Touch of honey, syrup. I would say that it maybe edges out the Glenfiddich in the first place, based off having it neat. So what we're saying then, we're saying it's maybe 48% ABV, that it is some kind of finish, maybe the sherry finish, that it is almost certainly going to be Highland or Speyside whiskey. It doesn't match the characteristics of other whiskies. However, that said, I didn't get the Campbelltown of the Glen Scotia yesterday. Just did not get any of that maritimeness. I wouldn't have said this was an island whiskey of any kind out of those Highland whiskies. Certainly not an Isla, although obviously there are unpeated Islas. I don't think, I'm not getting that off there. There's no maritime influence. So that takes me to what whiskies in the Highlands or Speyside would this be. I can't remember what's in my box, so I can't even pull out names that I know I've got. But I want to say this is going to be Highland whiskey, and I think this is going to be another surprise to me. I'm not doing particularly well in this series. Let's do a bit more by going to the Glencairn that's had a bit of water. So it's reduced some of that sherry. It's brought out more oakiness. No, those sherry notes are still there. It's just, I think everything else has just gone up a level. I'm getting a bit of custard. So that creaminess that I got off the palate is there on the nose. It's definitely got a herbaceous element to it. It is aromatic. I wouldn't say it's delicate. It's not really vibrant, but it's what is there. It's popping around the different notes. Now, my mind is drawn to Deanston on this. Deanston 18. But I don't think it's the Deanston 18 because the Deanston 18 has no sherry maturation. It's a wholly ex-bourbon. So it's not Deanston. Jura? Well, I ruled out Jura simply by ruling out the Highland Islands. It's not Jura, and I'm not getting any elements of a peat, which Jura sometimes has. I'm trying to... No. Could this be the Lismore? Because I haven't tasted the Lismore. Lismore 18. That would be 43% ABV. And that's a sherried Speyside. Let's taste the palate. That's lovely. That is a nice dram, that. The oak is there. It's shown its age. It's providing levels of spice. But it's not dominating. It's not killed any of the... I think the distillery character is coming through. Obviously with Lismore, we don't know who the distillery is. They're associated with Glenfarclas, but it could be any Speyside distillery. I'm not necessarily getting a Glenfarclas vibe off this, but it's grassy. It's fruity. It's creamy. It's oaky. It's time to do the reveal because this is 15 minutes now, and obviously I'll need to edit it down a bit. That's definitely the number one in top spot at the moment as to the four. Let's find out what we've got. So it's a 46% ABV. This one, I have to peel back the label to find out where it is, but I think this is AnCnoc, judging by the kind of brief read there. Yep, AnCnoc 18. That's what this one is. AnCnoc 18, 46% ABV. So I thought it was 46 initially, then went to 48. So 46. Yeah, it's pale in colour, which suggests it is not coloured. As far as I can tell, it's also non-chill filtered, being 46%. This was a part of a bottle split with that was put together by Whisky Shorts, Tom, Whisky Shorts, formerly Whisky and Warhammer. So thank you very much, Tom. It took a while to get to drink this one. So the AnCnoc 18 is now top of the leaderboard. Yeah. Okay, cheers.